Hey, what's up guys? So after using the glorious Model O- for 6 months, my scroll wheel malfunctioned. I'm guessing it was the side effect of using scroll wheel reset in Fortnite so much. Basically, the rubber disconnected from the plastic, so when I try to lightly scroll, only the rubber part moves, not the plastic wheel itself. It wasn't too big of a deal, and I mostly overcame it by applying a little pressure when scrolling, but still, it got me curious about the quality and performance of other small gaming mice. After all, the glorious Model O- made my aim improve significantly coming from the Logitech G502. So after doing some research, I decided to purchase the Finalmouse Ultralight 2 Capetown on eBay. I got it for $118, which wasn't too bad considering the price of the Finalmouse Ninja Air 58. I also asked the seller for his order number from Finalmouse in case I ever needed to send it in for repairs, and he was more than happy to send it to me. Now for the crazy part that made this a 3-mouse comparison video. Just hours after I ordered the Capetown, Razer announced the Razer Viper Mini, and when I saw the price was only $40, it was too tempting not to buy. You might be asking, why small mice? Does this guy have small hands? Well, to answer that question, my hands are 7.5 inches long and 3.5 inches wide, so about the size of an average male hand. And the reason I like small mice is because I feel like they force me to aim better. Using a small mouse was uncomfortable at first, but I got used to it fairly quickly. The control I feel over the mouse when fingertip gripping is really nice, and being very lightweight is another benefit of small mice. Here is the size comparison chart between the Finalmouse Ultralight 2 Capetown, glorious Model O-, and Razer Viper Mini. The Model O- is the longest and widest of the three, but the Razer Viper Mini is quite a bit taller, which is noticeable if you play palm or claw grip. Although if you have my hand size or larger, I wouldn't recommend trying to palm any of these mice unless you have G Fuel running through your veins, in which case you can aim however you want. The Ultralight 2 and Viper Mini share the same grip width. The Finalmouse is much shorter and lighter than both other mice. The length doesn't make much of a difference for me since I fingertip grip, but the weight sure does. At 47 grams, it took some getting used to, as the mouse was so light I felt like I was playing on a much higher sensitivity. After a little bit of practice, I got the hang of it. On to the feel of the mice. The Model O- is the easiest to get a grip on for me. The sides are smooth and my fingers seem to stick to it. The Razer Viper Mini has a textured coating on it, but it doesn't really help me to get a grip. If anything, it slides the most in my hand if I'm not gripping it tightly. The Ultralight 2 has holes all over, and unlike the Model O-, it also has holes on the side, which actually help me to get a grip, but after a while my pinky feels uncomfortable if I grip it too hard. The left and right click for the Model O- are nice, soft, and easy to press. The Finalmouse clicks are also light and have a very satisfying click. The Viper Mini clicks are more stiff and less satisfying, but they still work perfectly fine. I don't press the DPI buttons often, but this is how they sound. Moving on to scroll wheels, the Model O- scroll wheel has the most well-defined steps and is easy to scroll. Of course, my mouse wheel did come apart after 6 months of heavy use, but it still works well enough. The Razer Viper Mini also has fairly well-designed steps, and the scrolling is the most stiff of the three, but it still feels great, not too heavy at all. The Finalmouse scroll wheel has the least defined steps, but you can feel them for sure. It's also the easiest to scroll up and down. Of course, Finalmouse as a company has a well-known history of broken scroll wheels, but so far this one is doing great. For the side buttons, the Model O- has the smallest and most low-profile ones. They're also rounded instead of flat like the other mice. The Viper Mini has bigger side buttons that are low profile, but like the rest of the mouse, they have the stiffest click. The Finalmouse side buttons feel very nice and are very easy to click, but they're not as low profile as the Model O- or Viper Mini. They stick out a bit. Next, I'll talk about the cables of the mice. I have the old version of the glorious Model O-, which includes an older and bigger cable. It's flexible and I don't notice it while gaming, especially since I have it in a mouse bungee. The Viper Mini cable is the stiffest, yet it's still flexible and doesn't get in the way. The Finalmouse cable feels like a more loose version of the Viper Mini cable and is my favorite of the three, despite the sunset orange color that doesn't match any part of my setup. All mice have PTFE feet and glide well. The Finalmouse glides the most, followed by the Model O-, and the Viper Mini has the least amount of glide. Even though the Viper Mini glides the least, it feels very smooth and I feel in complete control with it. The Model O- and Razer Viper Mini have their own designated software that you can use to adjust the button mapping and RGB lighting of the mice. The Ultralight 2 has no RGB lighting, and if you want a software to remap the buttons or save profiles to the mouse, you can use the DM1 Pro S software. Just make sure you set the acceleration to 5, since 5 is actually equivalent to 0 acceleration. If you instead set it to 0 acceleration, you'll notice your mouse pointer barely moves. I went to humanbenchmark.com and did a reaction time test to see if any of the mice clicks had noticeable latency, and it turns out they didn't. The difference in milliseconds seems to be human error. Although after many attempts with all of the mice, I did manage to get this time with the Razer Viper Mini. I think the optical switches in the Viper Mini might give you a slight advantage over the mechanical switches in the Model O- and Ultralight 2. I already was comfortable aiming with the Model O-, but I had to spend a day learning to aim with the Viper Mini and Ultralight 2. Learning to aim with the Capetown was much more challenging since it was so small and light. With a little bit of practice I got there though, and my scores in Ascended Tracking V3 and Jumbo Fortnite Tile Frenzy are very close with each mouse. You can build in Fortnite pretty much the same with any of these mice. I have all of my build binds on my keyboard, so all I have to do with my mouse to crank is move it around in a circle. However, I have double edit binds set up, and for one of them I use my bottom mouse side button. It feels best using it with the Model O- to me, but that might be because I've used it for so long. All of the mouse side buttons can be easily pressed and used to build or edit. If I had to put them in order of best feeling to worst, it'd go Model O-, Ultralight 2, and Viper Mini. So to conclude this video, I'll say that the glorious Model O-, the Razer Viper Mini, and the Finalmouse Ultralight 2 Capetown are all amazing light gaming mice. If I had to recommend one for you to buy, it'd be between the Model O- and the Viper Mini. I would recommend the Ultralight 2 if it wasn't for the price. You can get 3 Viper Minis for the price of 1 Capetown, which is ridiculous. This will probably be my last review video unless for some reason there's a high demand for more, and instead I'll focus on gaming videos, as that's what I'm truly passionate about. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if this video helped you, and subscribe if you want to see more gaming content in the near future. Peace.